We're on to Magic of Thinking Big. And I started chapter 6 this morning, but then I had a meeting to get to, so I'm jumping back in to finish it off. So, think your work is important is this chapter. There's a story often told about the job attitudes of 3 bricklayers. It's a classic. Let's go over it again. When asked, "What are you doing?" the first bricklayer replied, "Laying bricks." The second answered, "Making $9.30 an hour." And then the third said, "Me? Why, I'm building the world's greatest cathedral." Now, the story doesn't tell us what happened to these bricklayers in later years, but what do you think happened? Chances are that the first 2 bricklayers remained just that, bricklayers. They lacked vision. They lacked job respect. There was nothing behind them to propel them forward to greater success. But you can wager every cent you have the bricklayer who visualized himself as building a great cathedral did not remain a bricklayer. Perhaps he became a foreman, or perhaps a contractor, or possibly an architect. He moved forward and upward. Why? Because thinking does not make it so. Bricklayer number 3 was tuned to the thought channels that pointed the way to self-development in his work. Job thinking tells a lot about a person and his potential for larger responsibility. A friend who operates a personnel selection firm said this to me recently. "One thing we always look for in appraising a job applicant for a client is how the applicant thinks about his present job. We are always favorably impressed when we find that an applicant thinks his present job is important, even though there may be something about it he doesn't like. Why? Simply this. If the applicant feels his present job is important, odds are that he will take pride in his next job too." We found an amazingly close correlation between a person's job respect and his job performance. Like your appearance, the way you think towards your work says things about you to your superiors, associates, and subordinates. In fact, to everyone with whom you come in contact. A few months ago, I spent several hours with a friend who is personnel director for an appliance manufacturer. He talked about building men. He explained his personal audit system and what he had learned from it. "We have about 800 non-production people," he began. "Under our personal audit system, an assistant and I interviewed each employee every 6 months. Our purpose is simple. We want to learn how we can help him in his job. We think this is a good practice because each person working with us is important, else he wouldn't be on the payroll. We are careful not to ask the employees any point-blank questions. Instead, we encourage him to talk about what he wants to. We aim to get his honest impressions. After each interview, we fill out a rating form on the employee's attitudes towards aspects of his job. Now, here's something I've learned," he went on. "Our employees fit into one of 2 categories, Group A and Group B, on the basis of how they think towards their jobs. The person in Group B talk mainly about security, company retirement plans, sick leave policy, extra time off, what we're doing to improve the insurance program, and if they will be asked to work overtime next March, as they were last March. They also talk a lot about disagreeable features of their job, things they don't like in fellow workers, and so on. People in Group B, and they include close to 80% of non-productive personnel, view their jobs as a sort of necessary evil. The Group A fellow sees his job through different glasses. He is concerned about his future and wants concrete suggestions on what he can do to make faster progress. He doesn't expect us to give him anything except a chance. The Group A people think on a broader scale. They make suggestions for improving the business. They regard these interviews in my office as constructive. But the Group B people often feel our personal audit system is just a brainwashing affair, and they're glad to get it over with. Now, there's a way I check attitudes and what they mean to job success. All recommendations for promotions, pay increases, and special privileges are channeled to me by the employee's immediate supervisor. Almost invariably, it's a Group A person who was recommended. And again, almost without exception, problems come from the Group B category. The biggest challenge in my job, he said, is to try and help people move from Group B to Group A. It's not easy though, because until a person thinks his job is important and thinks positively about it, he can't be helped. This is concrete evidence that you are what you think you are, what your thought power directs you to become. Think you're weak, think you lack what it takes, think you will lose, think you are second class, think this way, and you are doomed to mediocrity. But think instead, I am important. I do have what it takes. I am a first-class performer. My work is important. Think this way, and you're headed straight to success. The key to winning what you want lies in thinking positively towards yourself. The only real basis other people have for judging your abilities is your actions, and your actions are controlled by your thoughts. You are what you think you are. Wear the shoes of a supervisor for a few moments and ask yourself which person you would recommend for a raise or a promotion. Number 1, the secretary who, when the executive is out of the office, spends her time reading magazines, or the secretary who uses her time to do the many little things that help the executive to accomplish more when he returns. Number 2, the employee who says, oh well, I can always get another job. If they don't like the way I do my work, I'll just quit. Or the employee who views criticism constructively and sincerely tries to do higher quality work. Number 3, the salesman who tells a customer, oh, I just do what they tell me to do. They said come out and see if you needed anything. Or the salesman who says, Mr. Brown, I'm here to help you. Number 4, the foreman who says to the employee, to tell you the truth, I don't like my job much. Those guys up the top give me a pain in the neck. I don't know what they're talking about half the time. Or the supervisor who says, you've got to expect some unpleasantness on any job. But let me assure you, the men in the office are on the ball. They'll do right by us. Isn't it obvious why many people stay at one level all their lives? Their thinking alone keeps them there. An advertising executive once told me about his agency's informal training to break in new, inexperienced men. As company policy, he said, we feel the best initial training is to start the young fellow, who, incidentally, is usually a college graduate as a mail boy. We don't do this, of course, because we feel a fellow needs 4 years of college to take mail from one office to another. Our purpose is to give the new fellow maximum exposure to the many varied things which must be done in agency work. After he knows his way around, we give him an assignment. Now, occasionally, even after we've carefully explained why we're starting him out in the mailroom, a young fellow feels that carrying the mail is belittling and unimportant. When this is the case, we know we've picked the wrong man. If he doesn't have the vision to see that being a mail boy is a necessary practical step to important assignments, then he has no future in the agency business. Remember, executives answer the questions. What would he do on that specific level? By first answering the question, what kind of job is he doing where he is now? Here is some logic. Sound straight and easy. Sound straight and easy. Read it at least 5 times before you go on. A person who thinks his job is important receives mental signals on how to do his job better. And a better job means more promotions, more money, more prestige, more happiness. We've all noticed how children quickly pick up on the attitudes, habits, fears and preferences of their parents. Whether it be food preferences, mannerisms, religious and political views, or any other type of behaviour. The child is a living reflection of how his parents or guardians think, for he learns through imitation. And so do adults. People continue to imitate others throughout life, and they imitate leaders and supervisors. Their thoughts and actions are influenced by these people. You can check this easily. Study one of your friends and the person he works for and note the similarities in thinking and action. Here are some of the ways your friends may imitate his boss or other associate. Slang and word choice, the way he smokes cigarettes, some facial expressions and mannerisms, choice of clothing, and automobile preferences. There are many, many more, of course. Another way to note the power of imitation is to observe the attitudes of employees and compare them with those of the chief. When the chief is nervous, tense, worried, his close associates reflect similar attitudes. But when Mr. Chief is on top, feeling good, so are his employees. The point is this: the way we think towards our jobs determines how our subordinates think about their jobs. The job attitudes of our subordinates are direct reflections of our own job attitudes. It's well to remember that our points of superiority and weakness show up in the behaviour of those who report to us, just as a child reflects the attitudes of the parents. Consider just one characteristic of successful people: enthusiasm. Ever notice how an enthusiastic salesperson in a department store gets you, the customer, more excited about the merchandise? Or have you observed how many enthusiastic ministers or other speaker has a wide awake, alert, enthusiastic audience? If you have enthusiasms, those around you will have it too. But how does one develop enthusiasm? The basic step is simple. Think enthusiastically. Build in yourself an optimistic, progressive glow, a feeling that is great, and I'm 100% for it. You are what you think. Think enthusiasm and you'll be enthusiastic. To get high quality work, be enthusiastic about the job you want done. Others will catch the enthusiasm you generate and you'll get first class performance. But if in negative fashion you cheat that company on expense money, supplies and time, and in other little ways, and then what can you expect your subordinates to do? Habitually arrive late and leave early, and what do you think the troops will do? And there is a major incentive for us to think about our jobs so that our subordinates will think right about their jobs. Our superiors evaluate us by measuring the quality and quantity of output, and we get from those reporting to us. Look at it this way. Whom would you elevate to division sales manager? The branch sales manager whose salesmen are doing superior work, or the branch sales manager whose salesmen deliver only average performance? Or whom would be recommended for promotion or production manager? The supervisors whose department meets its quota, or the supervisors whose department lags behind? Here are 2 suggestions for getting others to do more for you. Number 1, always show positive attitudes toward your job so that your subordinates will pick up right thinking. Number 2, as you approach your job each day, ask yourself, am I worthy in every respect of being imitated? Are all my habits such that I would be glad to see them in my subordinates? Here's a good one. Give yourself a pep talk several times daily. Several months ago, an automobile salesman told me about the success-producing technique he's developed. It makes sense. Read it. A big part of my job for 2 hours a day, the salesman explained, is telephoning prospects to arrange demonstration appointments. When I first started selling cars 3 years ago, this was my big problem. I was shy and afraid. I know my voice sounded that way on the phone. It was easy for people I called to say, I'm not interested, and hang up. Every Monday morning, back then our sales manager held a sales meeting. It was pretty inspirational affair and it made me feel good. And what's more, I always seemed to arrange more demonstrations on Monday than any other day. But the trouble was that little of Monday's inspiration carried over to Tuesday and the rest of the week. Then I got an idea. If the sales manager can pep me up, why can't I pep myself up? Why not give myself a pep talk just before I start making those phone calls? That day I decided to try it. Without telling anyone, I walked out on the lot and found a vacant car. Then for several minutes I talked to myself. I told myself, I am a good car salesman and I'm going to be the best. I sell good cars and I give good deals. The people I'm phoning need those cars and I'm going to sell them. Well, from the very beginning, this self-supercharging paid off. I felt so good, I didn't dread making those calls. I wanted to make them. I no longer go out on the lot and sit in a car to give myself a pep talk, but I still use that technique. Before I dial a number, I silently remind myself that I'm a top-notch salesman and I'm going to get results, and I do. That's a pretty good idea, isn't it? To be on top, you've got to feel like you're on top. Give yourself a pep talk and discover how much bigger and stronger you feel. Recently, in a training program I conducted, each person was asked to give a 10-minute talk on being a leader. One of the trainees gave a miserable presentation. His knees literally shook and his hands trembled. He forgot what he was going to say. After fumbling for 5 or 6 minutes, he sat down thoroughly defeated. After the session, I spoke to him just long enough to ask him to be there 15 minutes early at the next session. As promised, he was 15 minutes ahead of time for the next session. The two of us sat down to discuss his talk of the night before. I asked him to remember as clearly as he could exactly what he had thought about the 5 minutes just before he gave his talk. Well, I guess all I thought about was how scared I was. I knew I was going to make a fool of myself. I knew I was going to be a flop. I kept thinking, who am I to be talking about being a leader? I tried to remember what I was going to say, but all I could think about was failing. Right here, I injected, is the answer to your problem. Before you go up to talk, you give yourself a terrible mental beating. You convince yourself that you would fail. Is it any wonder your talk didn't come off well? Instead of developing courage, you developed fear. Now, this evening's session, I continue, starts in just 4 minutes. Here's what I'd like you to do. Give yourself a pep talk for the next few minutes. Go in that vacant room across the hall and tell yourself, I'm going to give a great talk. I've got something those people need to hear and I want to say. Keep repeating those sentences forcefully with complete conviction. Then come into the conference room and give your talk again. I wish you could have been there to hear the difference. That brief, self-administered, hard-hitting pep talk helped him to make a splendid speech. The moral: practice uplifting self-praise. Don't practice belittling self-punishment. You are what you think you are. Think more of yourself, and there is more of you. Build your own sell yourself to yourself commercial. Think for a moment about one of America's most popular products, Coca-Cola. Every day your eyes or ears come in contact many times with the good news about Coke. The people who make Coca-Cola are continually reselling you on Coke, and for a good reason. If they stopped reselling you, chances are you'd grow lukewarm and eventually cold to Coke. Then sales would drop. But the Coca-Cola company isn't going to let this happen. They resell you and resell you and resell you on Coke. Every day, you and I see half-alive people who are no longer sold on themselves. They lack self-respect for their most important product, themselves. These folks are indifferent. They feel small. They feel like nobodies, and because they feel that way, that's what they are. The half-alive person needs to be resold on himself. He needs to realize that he's a first-class person. He needs honest, sincere belief in himself. Tom Staley is a young fellow who is going places, and fast. Tom regularly resells himself on himself 3 times a day with what he calls Tom Staley's 60-second commercial. He carries his personalized commercial in his billfold at all times. Here is exactly what it says. Tom Staley, meet Tom Staley, a really important person. Tom, you're a big thinker. You're a big thinker, so think big. Think big about everything. You've got plenty of ability to do a first-class job, so do a first-class job. Tom, you believe in happiness, progress, and prosperity. So, talk only happiness, talk only progress, talk only prosperity. You have lots of drive, Tom, lots of drive. So put that drive to work. Nothing can stop you, Tom, nothing. Tom, you're enthusiastic. Let your enthusiasm show through. You look good, Tom, and you feel good. Stay that way. Tom Staley, you were a great fellow yesterday and you're going to be an even greater fellow today. Now go to it, Tom. Go forward. Tom credits his commercial with helping him become a more successful, dynamic person. Before I started selling myself to myself, says Tom, I thought I was inferior to just about anybody and everybody. Now I realize that I got what it takes to win, and I'm winning, and I'm always going to win. Here's how to build your sell yourself to yourself commercial. First, select your assets, your points of superiority. Ask yourself, what are my best qualities? Don't be shy in describing yourself. Next, put these points down on paper in your own words. Write your commercial to you. Reread Tom Staley's commercial. Notice how he talks to Tom. Talk to yourself. Be very direct. Don't think of anyone but you as you say your commercial. Third, practice your commercial out loud, in private, at least once a day. It helps a lot if you do this before a mirror. Put your body into it. Repeat your commercial forcefully with determination. Make your blood travel faster through your body. Get yourself warmed up. Fourth, read your commercial silently several times every day. Read it before you tackle anything that demands courage. Read it every time you feel let down. Keep your commercial handy at all times, then use it. And just one more thing. A lot of people, maybe even a majority, may laugh at the success rewards technique. That's because they refuse to believe that success comes from managed thinking. But please, don't accept the judgment of average people. You are not average. If you have any doubts as to the basic soundness of the sell yourself to yourself principle, ask the most successful person you know what he thinks about it. Ask him and then start selling yourself to yourself. So upgrade your thinking. Think like important people think. Upgrading your thinking upgrades your actions, and this produces success. Here is an easy way to help you make more of yourself by thinking like important people think. Use the form below as a guide. How am I thinking? Checklist. Situation. When I worry, would an important person worry about this? Would the most successful person I know be disturbed by this? 2. Situation and idea. What would an important person do if they had this idea? Situation, my appearance. Do I look like someone who has maximum self-respect? Situation, my language. Am I using the language of successful people? Situations, what I read. Would an important person read this? Conversation, is this something successful people would discuss? Situation, when I lose my temper. Would an important person get mad at what I'm mad at? Situation, my jokes. Is this the kind of joke an important person would tell? My job. How does an important person describe his job to others? Cement in your mind the question, is this the way an important person does it? Use this question to make you a bigger, more successful person. In a nutshell, remember, look important. It helps you think important. Your appearance talks to you. Be sure it lifts your spirits and builds your confidence. Your appearance talks to others. Make certain it says, here is an important person, intelligent, prosperous, and dependable. Number 2, think your work is important. Think this way and you will receive mental signals on how to do your job better. Think your work is important and your subordinates will think their work is important too. Number 3, give yourself a pep talk several times daily. Build a sell yourself to yourself commercial. Remind yourself at every opportunity that you're a first-class person. 4, in all of life's situations, ask yourself, is this the way an important person thinks? Then obey the answer. So that was chapter 6. Tomorrow's chapter is chapter 7, manage your environment. Go first class. Ooh, go first class. This, and this is where a lot of people's thinking needs to change. You don't have to go and spend a heap of money to change the way you think about yourself, change the way you turn up. But you do have to invest a bit of time in yourself. You have to invest in seeing what your qualities are, in knowing what they are, and knowing what your weaknesses are. You cannot get to there unless you know what you're starting with. You've got to know the starting point. It's like when you put in a GPS or, you look up something on your phone that says, can we use your location? If they don't use your location, where are you going to start from? You don't know how to get to where they want you to get to. I had a call to get to. So think about it. Have a look at where you are. What are my qualities? What are my weaknesses? Where do I need to improve? What am I thinking about my day most of the day? Because you become what you think about. If you're thinking that your life is shit, well, guess what? You're going to get a shit life. If you're thinking that it's amazing and you can find all the gratitude in it, then chances are you're going to get some more of that. But I think most people sit in between, and they're like this. Sometimes it's rock bottom, sometimes I'm just flying high. And guess what it's from? It's going to be related to your results. And if your results aren't good, you're going to be low. If your results are great, you're going to be high. Can you find a vibration or a frequency and just stay on it no matter what the results are? Can you know that where you are right now, you are creating the future? So if you're on the roller coaster, you're going to keep creating the roller coaster. And that has to stop. Now, you all know that I help people develop. I help people grow so that they can start to stay on a level of vibration that they choose and not be thrown around by what is going on around them. Whether the interest rate goes up or down every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month or something. If the economy's got things going on, if the husband said this or the wife said this or the kid said this or the friend said this or this is happening at work, can you hold it or are you thrown around? If you're thrown around. And the other thing is relationships. Like, one of my first things that I had to change was my self-worth, because the way I thought about me, all I brought towards me was people that played tricks on me, people that spoke to me not very nicely, people that didn't want the best for me. But did I treat myself as the best? No, I didn't. Did I look after myself? No. So the world treats you the way you treat yourself. So that was one of the first things I had to learn. I was pretty lucky that I learned it at 22. And I knew back then that if I didn't change the way I I thought about myself and what I was doing back then, I would never be able to have the person in my life that I wanted. So I had to get really clear. But I also had to look at where I was. Okay, what am I doing? Would the person that is in a happy relationship be doing this? Would the person that had the wealth be doing this? So these are questions that you need to ask yourself. Because I think most of people's days is taken up with sitting around having a chin wag, whinging or not pushing themselves. There's no efficiency. I see it a lot that people just walk slow and there's no drive, no sense of urgency. What happens if you were, like I say to people, treat this like you've got an order to get to somebody and they needed it 5 minutes ago. You're in a rush. And it's not that you running, but you're walking with some purpose in your step. And then, I think in this group there's a lot of very successful people. I know there is, because they wouldn't attract not successful people. So, and I want you to ask one of the people that you regard as successful and say, how do you gauge character? How do you employ people? Do you employ people that just walk in and they're just like, yeah, I just come for a job? Or the person that comes in and says, right, I've come for this, I've found out a bit more about your company and I think I'd be an asset and this is what I'd bring to the party and stuff. That is a much better way of looking at things. And look, I've been guilty of just hiring somebody to put a bum on the seat. It never works. Never works. Should be very, very selective with who you employ. And there's a little slogan, hey? Hire slowly, fire quickly. Don't let the people that are not worthy of your time be in your space. Because whatever you allow in and you accept, you are asking for more of. Right, I need to get going because I have a client call very shortly. Those of you that are going to be there for Monday Q&A, can't wait to see you all. Others, look out for the curiosity posts that are going to be posted and letting you know what we've got going on. We have set up a different group for this challenge, so when you're wanting to do it, let us know. Maybe you can say 5-day challenge in the comments here. And also, if there was something I read there that you go, oh, I need to remember this, put in the comments. You'll remember it then. All right. Bye-bye. See ya.